Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Mish Mosh Monday. Been looking forward to this one. We got a few things to talk about, but first off, I got to correct a flubber that I made last week. You know, we did the Scoutcrafter Clamp Challenge, which was amazing. However, I don't know how it happened. I'm not a computer guy, but I missed out on 3 entries. One of them wasn't my fault because I received it at the exact same time as I posted the video. But the other 2 entries were sent to me well within time, but somehow they just didn't get. I don't know how I missed them. And let me show you which ones they are. The first one was Ricky McFadden. Now, Ricky is a good friend of the show, has been for a long time, and you know what happened? Ricky had some family business in Boston and whatever, and he had this clamp, and he knocked this thing out in 3 hours. I can't even believe it, but he did it and had it in there in time. But I just posted the video a little bit before, so this is Ricky's clamp over here, that's a job. He did a nice job on the clamp. The second was Bill O'Rourke, another good friend of the show for a long time. This is his clamp here. And Bill did a great job. And you know what the funny thing is? We were joking, Bill and I said, Bill, yours is the only clamp that's actually worth anything. And, and especially me as a coin collector. But I thought that was pretty cool. So Bill's clamp was left out. And the last one was Tim Daly's clamp. Now, Tim did a great job, and this is what really screwed me up, because Tim sent it to me in plenty of time, and I made it up with his name and everything. I reformatted it to fit the video. And you could see it here, and Tim made this clamp from scratch, just like 357 Magdad made one from scratch. But this one here is a little different. It's in the shape of a star. If you haven't seen the video, I'm going to have a link in the description to the video on how he made this. And it's, really amazing. And the funny thing is, I sent this actual picture to a friend of mine who's not a YouTuber, because I said, look at the gear, the way the clamp is, it looks like there'd be a fulcrum action on it. I was really impressed and really enjoyed it. So go check that out. And again, I apologize to you guys that they didn't make it into the video, but I'm glad you'll be able to see them. Okay, next up on the Mosh, we have a tool review. I don't usually do tool reviews, but we got a couple new tools, and I want to show them to you. Let's go check it out. Okay, we don't usually do unboxings or tool reviews, but I got to tell you something. I was at Harbor Freight the other day. Now, as you know, one of my new favorite tools is the angle grinder, the 4-inch one, 4.5-inch. And this is a Bauer. I got this at Harbor Freight, and the reason I like this so much, or for what I did from when I saw it in there, is, first of all, this design, one of the other subscribers had mentioned about a rat tail design. Usually the bigger grinders, the 7-inch ones, have this rat tail design, they call it. And what it is, it's a handle. Now, if you see a lot of the grinders, you kind of grip up here. Very uncomfortable, never like that. This has the smaller handle. It's a 4.5-inch grinder. It has a nice trigger switch here, 2-finger trigger switch, has the locking thing here. I just like the handle. It's got, the handle adapter on both sides, and it comes with the guard here that you don't need to, it's a tool-free guard, and also it's got the handle. Let's run it and see how it works. Okay, here it is together, and you could see here, I like the handle on my left-hand side because I'm righty. For some reason, it works easier for me. It's got everything. Is just a great design. Feels nice. Feels like high quality plastic, not the cheap stuff. Bauer's supposed to be good stuff. I guess these are replaceable brushes, although I've never had to change brushes on these things, and they all sound the same. Here it is running. It's an 8-amp model, and it was less than 40. It was $30-something. So it's a nice unit. I really like it. I love the way it feels, the handle, and something to check out if you're at home. Okay, next up I want to talk quickly about tool rolls. I was looking for a tool roll. Sometimes I'm going somewhere and I want to bring some of my restored tools, and I'm looking for a tool roll. Now, I was looking, there's one that's $100 that's made by an American company, but it's just a little steep for me, $100. Until I feel one, I don't want to kind of put out that kind of money. This one here on Amazon, You have the Bucket Boss one here, that's $40. And this one here was very highly rated, but it was half the price, $20. Now, everything is made in China today, so, these are no exception. They're both made in China, but sometimes you'd be surprised. Sometimes you get some good deals from China that are, especially in the fabric kind of thing. So let's check these out and see the difference. Is this one worth twice this one? So we'll take a look at the lower expensive one, the $20 one, how it opens up. You can see here it's got a handle and it opens up into here. Now I like these tool rolls because the tools don't bang up against each other. It's got 3, 4, this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4 pouches and a slide pouch here for smaller tools. The zippers, they're okay. Sometimes they if you're not careful, like they're okay. They're not like a YKK or the material's a little bit thinner. Again, it'll do the job. It's well worth $20 because you couldn't make this yourself for $20. And again, how these work is you would put your tools in here, screwdrivers, wrenches, things like that. I'll show you the size comparison. Now, what I'm not crazy about is you can't adjust this tight enough that it stays snug with a small load. Let's say I have a small load of tools like I do in here now, and I'll give you an example. We'll open it up. Okay, opens up like this. And here I just have a few tools in here that, let's say you were carrying a small load, These are larger, 10-inch or 8-inch model tools that you might put in. But you could see, unless you have quite a larger load of tools, here's a pair of vice grips. If you didn't have a large array of tools, that won't tighten up. So when you try and carry it, it's gonna, it's not gonna carry well. That's one thing I don't like. The zippers are okay. Let's go to the other one and I'll show you the difference and how that's made. Okay, now for the bucket boss. This is the one I like. This is called, this is the name of it, the original series Super Roll, Zipper 2 Roll. But it's got the grommets that you can hang it up when it's got 2 handles. You can see now there's no load in it, yet it's not falling apart. It's an American-based company, even though this is made maybe overseas. It's American-based, so you do have some customer service. It's all double-stitched around the handles. It's got 2 handles. And let's open this up, and I'll show you the difference here. Here it is open. Okay, quite a bit, larger. It's the same. It's just heavier duty, and it's, look at these zippers. No hang up on these zippers at all. They're just a nice, it's got a little rubber pull tag here. It's a cotton duct or material, like a kind of a denim type material. It's definitely more heavy duty. You would hang it up by these grommets if you wanted to hang it up. That, if you want to use it while you're working. I just like this one much better. Is it worth double the money? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's at least double the quality. And again, to roll these up, you could roll them up like this, here, like this, and then you could wrap your, these here will clip on here, or, and they tighten down nicely. You got all this extra room that if there was a lot of tools in here, you could fit a lot of tools in these tiny tool rolls. So and it's got that nice, these nice handles here that you could carry. It's just a beautiful little tool pouch. So I recommend this one if you're gonna, don't waste your money on the cheap one because you get what you pay for. So yeah, it's $20, but go for the Bucket Boss, and I would still like to see what the other ones. I think it's G24 something, G42, something like that. I'd like to see what that one like compared to this, but this one's definitely worth the money. Okay, I know I am rambling a little bit today. I just had a cup of coffee, and I'm a little bit, I guess, I ramble a little bit. So let's go to torches, because I know I had a couple people ask me about it. Okay, let's talk briefly about torches. There are a whole bunch of different type of torches. You get propane, you get butane, MAP gas. Propane is a solid, dependable torch, very inexpensive, easy to find replacement cylinders. I suggest if you do not have one of these, you can get one. I'm just going to give you a basis of what they involve. These old torches here, remember these old gas torches? Boy, look at these. These were something else. You had to prime them, and then you had to put gasoline here to heat it up, and then pressure. Oh, boy. Pressurize it over here, and these were something else, huh? Anyway, we don't use any of those, especially in the house or anything. Anytime, again, safety factor. always try and have a fire extinguisher nearby if ever you're going to use a torch, only because you never know what could happen, you know. But here's, again, these are so safe. You don't have to worry about storage, anything. This was the original type of torch, my first torch that I had. And these are very simple and very inexpensive. And to start these, you need what's called a striker. You've probably seen these before. And we used to play with them all the time as kids. There's a little flint in here, a replaceable flint. And what you do is you, as you pull it apart, it makes sparks, you see? So how you use it, to use it, you basically just turn it off here like this, turn it on to here, something come out, and then that turns it on. And you can see here, get a nice flame out of here, nice blue flame. These are the old type torches. They're okay, but once these other ones, these quick starts came along, these things are a real game changer. Now the modern torches, and when I say modern, these are 10 or 15 years old, so I don't even know what they have out today, but these are the ones that are really, really good torches, because now you don't have to worry about igniting it using these striker igniters, which is always a pain. What you would do is, when you pull the trigger, it has an igniter in it, automatically ignites it. With this one here, the quick fire, once you pull the trigger, it'll stay lit, so you don't have to hold the trigger anymore, and you can adjust the flame like this. With the Surefire over here, as long as you're holding the trigger in, the flame will come out, and once you let go of the trigger, it shuts off. Let me show you how they work independently. Here's the quick fire. First you turn it on, like this, and then when you pull the trigger, it starts up, and now you can use it. You can hold it from the tank if you had to. It'll stay lit like this until you turn it off like this using the knob in the rear. With the Surefire, you turn it on here. This is your adjustment valve, and there's a little on-off switch. You put it on to on. Now that'll allow you to pull the trigger. When you pull the trigger, start up, and then it shuts off as soon as you let go of the trigger. They're both beautiful torches. They work great. This is a safety feature. You put on off, you can't push it in. I think if you don't have one, definitely get one. Propane isn't as hot as the MAP gas, but it does a great job. A lot of times, for what we do for restorations, things like that, you need to have a torch. While we're on the subject of torches, these are good things to have too in the shop. And what they are, it's a welding blanket, but basically they go by all different names. This one here is a 6 foot by 6 foot, and here is a slightly smaller one. This is maybe a 3 by 4 foot. You can get these, they're almost like a remnant. And you know, you can get these cheap when you buy them in a shorter, a smaller size. And it's a fiberglass woven, fire resistant, almost to the point of being fireproof, blanket. And I use this whenever I'm doing the grind or anything that's shooting sparks. I'll throw this over something that I'm afraid that the sparks could ignite, you know, like my open cans of gasoline over there or whatever, you know. But I will put this over something or hang it up. You can hang it up, and it's a great thing. Welders use it all the time. You can also use this to keep the heat in something if you're using it to warm something up and you want to keep the heat in. Also, it's also good if you have a fire. If there's, God forbid, a fire and you can throw this over and it'll smother it. A good thing to have. You can pick the small ones up cheap. The larger ones might cost a little bit more, but something to think about keeping in your shop. Okay, next up, a good friend of the show by the name of Frank Waters up in Albany, New York. He was nice enough to send this. He sent a long time ago, but I'm just getting to it now. Look at this precision screwdriver set. I've never seen bits this small. I mean, these are just micro bits. And look at these hex bits. I never seen anything that small. Beautiful little vintage set, real nice. But Frank sent this screwdriver in that he picked up, and he said he wanted to see if we could take care of fixing this and you know, he thought that the viewers might get a kick out of seeing how it's done, because what happened is you could see it's bent. You could see that the shaft is bent, and this is a common problem. And this is a nice screwdriver. You could see it's a Bridgeport model 351, and it's got the ferrules nice and tight. You know, everything's good. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's got a slight bend to it. So let me show you how we address that. Now, one of the ways to find out if the shaft is bent or something is to take a straight edge. Any straight edge will do, and a steel ruler works really good. And using a white background or a light colored background, here we use a piece of paper towel, place the straight edge against the side of the shaft and see if you could see any light through there. If you could see, like if there was a little bit of light showing, I moved it away, you would see it was bent or where it's bent. You could see that this shaft is fairly true and straight, but it's bent, so it's bent where it enters in the ferrule, in the shaft. So how do we take care of that? Now we're over here at the lathe. This is a real easy way to fix or to determine where the bend is on something like this. And this is a 3-jaw chuck. This is self-centering. So we'll put it in here in the shaft. And we have it disconnected from any drive belts or anything. We could free spin it by hand. And you could see the you know, where the bend is from here. Now there's a couple ways you can address this. First of all, you could bring this to the highest point and, you know, push it down with your hand, bang it down with the palm of your hand, because you won't damage any of the wood if you do that. If it was a plastic handle or something, you could tap it down with a rubber mallet. But here, because it's wood, we don't want to put any dents or things in here. We're going to push it down with our hand. If it was any thicker, you would need either a larger lathe, or you would mark where it is, go into the vise and use the vise. But for a shaft this small, it won't put any undue stress on the lathe. Now, once you have it pretty good by eye, when you're spinning it and it looks pretty good by eye, you can hook up this dial indicator, and we'll just bring it back here and watch the dial indicator. We'll preload it till it gets to 0 here, and we'll spin it this way. And you can see it's you know, it's almost, well, it's about 80 thousandths out, which, you know, isn't too bad. But now we could use this to straighten it out. Okay, now working with it a little bit, you can see we got it down to less than 1/10,000 of an inch, and that's very, very low run out. Let me show you what it looks like when it's spinning. We're going to turn the lathe on. There we go. So it's nice and true now, nice and straight. So here we go, nice and true, nice and straight. It looks beautiful. Frank, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed that part. And let's see what else we got. Okay, and lastly, I was at the Elephant Trunk Flea Market today, and I came across this piece. It was a 6-foot-long M16 original that they used to have hanging up in front of the classrooms of all the boot camps to teach you how to operate the rifle. This one, he wanted $3,500. Later on, I came across another Littlestown Vice, a model 25, identical to the one we just did the other day. And notice some of the subtle differences here on this vise. You know, if you look closely, you'll see it. First of all, notice the scallop detail on the top of the head, and also you can see the jaws don't align, and that's because it wasn't deformed at the factory like it should have been to align the jaws. Also, if you notice, the jaws are a little different. Instead of having a full jaw set, it has almost like a keyway type jaw. So that's something different. But here's the most interesting part. Littlestown was in Pennsylvania, but here it says New York, New York. And I found out the sales manager did that to try and sell more vices because he thought New York would be better than Pennsylvania for sales. In closing, I hope you enjoyed this week's Mosh, and hope you have a nice day. Take care now. Bye-bye.